What if I told you that Adolf Hitler's rise to power almost ended before it even began? Not in a war, not by assassination, but in a beer hall. In November 1923, Hitler made a reckless decision that should have destroyed his political career forever. Instead, it became the moment that changed history. This is the story of the Beer Hall Putsch, the night Hitler failed, and somehow still won. To understand why this happened, you have to go back to Germany in 1923. The country was in a state of absolute collapse. Germany had lost World War I, and the treaty that followed forced it to pay massive war reparations, crippling an already fragile economy. This led to hyperinflation so extreme that it sounds like something from a dystopian novel. People literally used wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. The value of money was disappearing by the hour. Anger, humiliation, and desperation filled the streets. Many Germans felt betrayed by their own leaders, who they believed had stabbed them in the back. This chaotic, unstable environment was the perfect breeding ground for extreme ideas and the ambitious, dangerous men who promoted them. One of these men was Adolf Hitler. Now, it's important to remember that at this point, Hitler was not the infamous figure we know today. He wasn't powerful. He wasn't a major political player. Most established politicians didn't take him seriously. He was just a fiery, charismatic speaker leading a small, radical group on the fringes of Bavarian politics, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party. But Hitler had big ambitions. He looked across the Alps to Italy and saw a model he wanted to copy. Just a year earlier, the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini had seized power through a dramatic march on Rome. Hitler was deeply inspired. He believed he could pull off the same trick in Germany. His plan was simple, bold, and incredibly risky. First, he would start a revolution in the state of Bavaria. Then, he would march his followers to the capital Berlin. Finally, he would overthrow the national German government and install himself as leader. And the location he chose to kickstart this grand revolution was a humble beer hall in Munich. The night was November 8, 1923. Over 3,000 people, including many of Bavaria's top government officials, were packed inside the Bürgerbrücke Beer Hall. They were there to listen to speeches, a common political and social event at the time. Suddenly, the evening was shattered by chaos. Hitler, surrounded by his armed followers, burst through the doors. A shot was fired into the ceiling to get everyone's attention. Jumping onto a chair, Hitler screamed, "The national revolution has begun." He declared that the Bavarian and national governments were overthrown. He then forced the top Bavarian leaders into a side room at gunpoint, demanding they swear their loyalty to his new regime. And at first, unbelievably, it seemed to be working. Under duress, the officials appeared to agree to his demands, but they were secretly just stalling for time, waiting for an opportunity. And then Hitler made a critical, fatal mistake. Believing he had secured their support, he left the room to deal with another matter. That single decision doomed the entire plot. As soon as Hitler was gone, the officials he had held at gunpoint renounced their forced pledges of support and began organizing resistance against him. By the next morning, it was clear the coup had failed. The army and police remained loyal to the state, but Hitler, refusing to admit defeat, made another rash decision. He and about 2,000 of his followers decided to march through the streets of Munich, hoping to rally the public to their cause. They were met by a cordon of armed police. A tense standoff followed. Then, someone fired a shot. In an instant, the street erupted in gunfire. Within seconds, it was all over. 60 Nazis lay dead. 4 police officers were killed. In the chaos, Hitler was knocked to the ground, dislocating his shoulder. The revolution had collapsed in a hail of bullets. Hitler fled the scene, but he was captured 2 days later and arrested for high treason. To everyone watching, this looked like the pathetic, humiliating end of Adolf Hitler and his political ambitions. But here's where the story takes its terrifying twist. Instead of being silenced, Hitler turned his trial into the greatest propaganda stage of his life. He was given a platform to speak for hours on end. He didn't deny his actions. He celebrated them. He portrayed himself as a patriot, a man who was only trying to save Germany from the politicians who had betrayed it. He blamed all of Germany's problems, the economic collapse, the national humiliation on others, and the newspapers across Germany printed his fiery speeches. word for word. Suddenly, this obscure Munich rabble-rouser was a national figure. He was found guilty of treason and sentenced to 5 years in prison. In reality, he served less than 9 months in a comfortable, low-security facility. It was there that he wrote his infamous book, Mein Kampf, a manifesto that laid out his dangerous ideology and his plans for Germany's future. The failed coup, the public disgrace, had paradoxically turned him from a nobody into a martyr and a celebrity. The Beer Hall Putsch should have been the end of Hitler's career. Instead, it taught him a crucial lesson. He realized that power in a modern state could only be won with a few hundred men and a gun in a beer hall. It had to be taken from within the system through politics, through propaganda, and by using the tools of democracy to ultimately destroy it. 10 years later, using exactly those methods, he became Chancellor of Germany. This incident proves something terrifying. Failure doesn't always stop dangerous people. Sometimes it just teaches them a better way to succeed. History isn't just about what happened in the past. It's a collection of warnings. Understanding how these moments happened, how a failure became a stepping stone to power, is the only way we can learn to recognize the signs and prevent them from ever happening again. Thanks for watching. If you found this story important, please like and subscribe for more dives into the lessons of history.